So this morning I have, well, this afternoon as well, I've just finished watching day three of the DNC conference speeches. I haven't watched, I flicked forward through to the names that I know rather than the names that I don't know. But there were some really powerful people on there, which is, I think it's day three. There was Bill Clinton, um, Oprah Winfrey, Nancy Pelosi, Wes, whose surname I don't know, um, was very inspiring. And at the end of all of that, it was Tim Walz, who is a magnificent speaker. Magnificent speaker. Very motivating, very inspiring, very real, very down to earth, held everybody's attention. Um, Very moving, and one of the most moving bits for me was at the end. um, I think it was close to the end, um, and the cameras trained on his family, who he had acknowledged. Oh, he was talking about the fertility issues that he and his wife had had, for many years before their daughter was conceived. And he was talking about that, and talking to his family, and acknowledging them in the audience. And his son was there in tears. What's his name? Gus, in tears. Um, and you could read his lips. He's standing up, applauding, tears streaming out of his eyes, applauding and saying, "That's my dad. That's my dad." I just thought it was lovely, lovely to see. Um, I don't know how old he is. It was about 15. To see him so proud of his dad, that's so important. That's so. It's just amazing that he's proud, and his daughter Hope is also obviously proud, and that the family are. The wife is the and I see a change in him from when he was first introduced by Kamala, probably only about 3 weeks ago. It feels like forever. He's been groomed a bit. He's had his hair done, um, but it was a really, really good speech, and the whole of the center, the whole of the audience were just completely energized. And what made me realize how energy draining Trump is. What an energy sucker he is. And it's that whole victim blaming thing that's going on, and it sucks the energy out of everything. And I was looking, and I know that they haven't been elected. I know this isn't election night. I know that this isn't after a long night of waiting for the votes to counting of the votes, but I'm just comparing these. Oh, I don't know what the word is, but I'm just comparing these energized, happy, joyful people with the group that wandered on stage after Trump had been elected. His family, just this. The energy wasn't there even then, even though he'd been elected. There was no energy. And the I was reminded of a meme I saw some weeks ago now, of a picture of the Trump children. This is before Barron would have been in the picture, so the boys are a bit younger, and his daughter, whose name Ivanka, that might have been his wife. Um, but they look like the children of the corn. They look like the children of the corn. That whole greyness. There's a sort of a greyness, and a solemn, and a cult look. That's how a cult looks to me. And of course, from my perspective, it is a cult. Um, but so the difference of what I was seeing from last night. I mean, it was 3 o'clock in the morning my time that this all started, so I have to watch it on playback. But yeah, the people, the Obamas, Clinton, Oprah, Kamala, um, Shapiro was on as well. I didn't watch him. He is a very good speaker, um, but I didn't feel the need to watch him. But they're all energizing. So they're giving energy. They're energizing the crowd, giving to them, and obviously intend to give with their work. It's giving service. It's doing service for the country. Many of the speakers had done served their country in the military, and women speakers as well. And I'd forgotten that it's quite common. I don't know whether they had national service back then, but or whether they still do. But it's quite common for women to serve in America. I hate it that women go to war. I really hate it. I believe in equality, but I really hate it that women go to war, especially when they leave behind children. I really can't bear that. But anyway, all of these people had served their country. I think it was Wes, whose surname I can't remember, who said he was so young that he was 17, that he had to get his mum to sign his papers. He said, because I didn't have bone spurs. That's been brought up a few times. So yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, but they do look like the children of the corn. Energy sucked out of them. And when I see bits of Trump's awful stuff, they're not they're not they're not speeches. They're, let me talk about me, let me tell you about me, tell you how lovely I am, how good I am, how much better I am than her. All of that, it's all about I. Somebody said, count how many eyes there are in his speeches. It's all about him. And what I've noticed, if you watch his audience and compare them to perhaps how his audiences used to be, his audiences look like they've had the energy sucked out of them. They look bored, they're quiet, they don't really know what to do with themselves, they don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about sometimes. It's really amazing. And but it's not, it's going to be a close call. And knowing what he's done in the past, um, the Democrats are going to have to work really hard to make sure that she gets in with a large majority. Because, and also, I don't know how they're going to do it, but to make sure that he doesn't take the election fraudulently, which he will attempt to do. He's a disgusting man. He's a criminal. He's a felon. He's a sexual predator. He's a liar. And I don't understand why anybody would want that man to be their president. Because he ain't going to stop lying. He's not going to stop being a predator. He's not going to stop being a criminal just because he's president. He's not presidential material. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. That video I shared on a post earlier today, I toyed with actually sharing it, because somebody had emailed me at my Yahoo address and said that it was worth watching, and I watched it. And I found it difficult to watch because the guy presenting it, who I don't know, Frank Schaefer, was coming across to me as the type of person that I imagine is a conspiracy theorist. So the way he's presenting has that flavour to it. And therefore, what happens for me is when somebody is doing that, the message, I don't hear the message because I'm busy thinking, oh my God. So I stayed and watched it with an open mind. And what he says towards the end, but I do think that you do need to hear all of it to believe what he's saying at the end. What he's saying at the end is that Trump has been chosen, not by God. Trump has been chosen by this heritage, is it the heritage group? and another group because he's so easily manipulated. It's like Putin has manipulated him. The Chinese prime minister president has manipulated him, and he's so easily manipulated. They want a puppet. They want a puppet so that they then can take over and pull the strings, and that's what will happen if Trump gets in. And that was the bit at the end of this video. That was the overall message: is he's the puppet that they can manipulate, and the people that he was talking about have been working towards this for decades and decades, and it would seem that Trump is their only hope. And Trump thinks they've stroked him. He must have been, you're the one we think you've been chosen, you're the one that we want, you're this, you're that. And he takes all that in and believes it. But they're using him. And I think that this time, if that can be avoided, I don't think it will come up again. Not in my lifetime anyway. It's just unbelievable. So I started this vlog with what I wanted to talk about at the beginning. I don't think there's anything that I need to mention at the end about what's going on here. What's going on here is what normally goes on here. Nothing's changed. Chickens are okay. I turned around earlier just then because Mrs. Brahma was here, and she had hiccups last night, and I thought I could hear her again, but I can't hear her now, so I don't think she has. Keeping an eye on her. I will worm them all again on Thursday. Today's Thursday, a week Thursday. I'll worm them all again, but everybody's fine. And Mrs. Little Marin, when they came out this morning, was her usual shouty self, so that's the real relief. She's back to normal, just needs to eat more. Okay, so this is my bit. This is all I can do. I said to somebody yesterday in comments, I wish I could do more. I think it was to Kathy, and she said, well, you are doing something. You're making these videos. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, but they're not really going very far because they're not, I got a lot of subscribers on the vlog earlier this week, was it? Or over the weekend about the puppy. And that's what happens. And then they all think, oh, we're going to get some dirt on the shadow, la, la, la. And then they all drift off when I don't do any more on it. I'd rather that I got the whole lot of subscribers for my stuff about Trump. I did get some, actually. I'd rather that's where they came from, because that's what I want to talk about. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you when I feel inspired again, which will not be long, as we know.